Hi, my name is Melissa, and today I'm going to be presenting the Skills Project presentation. The skill that I decided to learn was the guitar, or more importantly, learning to play Viva La Vida by Coldplay. The reason I chose this was because my dad has played the guitar throughout his whole life and has always wanted me to try. However, I've just never really had the motivation or the effort to be able to put into practice. So just a bit of background about the guitar and the 5 concepts that I've pulled for skill acquisition. First of all, the guitar encompasses many degrees of freedom. You've got reading the music, the tempo of the music, your hands are doing 2 completely different things. And with this, it challenges self-organization. So you're working pretty much unilaterally with one hand doing one job with the chords and the other hand doing a completely other job with the strumming. And with this comes interacting constraints, including intrinsic constraints, task constraints, and environmental constraints. And at the beginning, you'll be able to see that I had a big problem with my lack of dexterity, which was a big intrinsic constraint that I needed to work on. However, by the end of the skill, you can see that I challenged my environmental constraints because I was becoming much more confident with playing the guitar. With this comes challenging my coordinative structures. However, whilst I was practicing and being able to do this, I was able to develop a new attractive state because I practiced very regularly, and I found that my training program really benefited my skill progression. So with the pre-test, the aim was just to play the song from the beginning, just to see where I was at. I used a really useful YouTube tutorial. And as you can see from the above, there's the 4 easy chords. However, they're a bit different, and the strumming pattern below. So the 3 main challenges I pulled from the pre-test and what I could see where I was at with the skill was the timing of the chord changes, because they are just 4 easy chords. However, they are quite different. The strumming pattern, it's not just a down, down, down pattern. It's quite a lot different. And as well, to encompass all of that, the speed of the song is quite a lot quicker than I actually first realized. So doing all of that together with the tempo was going to be the challenge for my training program. And that is sort of how it shaped my program. So how it shaped the planning of my program. So I'm going to show you the method. So this was my training method. This was my program that I actually used every single week. So I decided to span the program over 6 weeks, because I thought that was a really nice amount of time with 40 minutes per day, 5 times a week. This suited my lifestyle as I'm a full-time uni student and a full-time worker. And as you can see on the right side, I've done a plan or sort of goals that I needed to achieve by the end of the week to ensure that I knew that I was progressing with this skill, and understanding that with every week I was progressing further to my goal. So with my measures to use to analyze performance, obviously the guitar doesn't really give any points or scoring system. So I really just had to analyze by feedback. So for the first 3 weeks, I used that tutorial that I mentioned before that is in my references. So I just used to adapt the tutorial video. I used the first week to do the chords, second to do the strumming, and the third and the fourth sort of week to put it all together. Now, the fourth to the 6th week, I practiced to with the song. So that challenged the tempo of the song, how well I could adapt with the music playing and the singing of the music. And then by the end of the program, I really felt a lot more confident with my skill. So I was able to manipulate many constraints, most importantly, environmental constraints. And as you'll see by the end of the video, I used it by a lot more distracting measures by people singing around me, and also playing around with different keys. So this is my first
slow,
week.
just understanding the guitar, tuning the guitar, getting the chords down. I've got the chords down, only 4 nice chords today. So my first few days of the training program is just learning the chords, because the 2 elements of this song, or the song that I'm learning, has a specific strumming pattern, and then also specific chord changes with the strumming pattern. So yes, it's a lot to think about. So first few hours I'm going to just dedicate to the chords, because I know the song. So if I can just do it with the chords, and then I'll be able to get the strumming pattern. I think that's a good way of doing it, because then if I do the thing first, the strumming pattern first, I don't really think I get too confused with the chords later. So yes, I'll show you the chords. We have C. I don't know if this sounds really good. There you go. We got C. It got D. This one's quite hard. G, and then E minor. So far. Kind of here.
This is the second one. This is just the strumming, basically.
Today, this week, or this lot of training sessions, I'm focusing on the strumming pattern, which is not too difficult, but it's hard when I have to do the chords as well. So I'm just going to focus, go down, down. So I'm just trying to practicing that. Just trying to do that with one chord and changing it to a different chord. It's a lot for my brain, and because there's so many degrees of freedom happening all at once, that it's very hard when I have to add the chords in.
And week 3, this is me playing with the music. Week 4, I slowed it down a little bit more.
Today's session, I'm trying to slow it down a little bit. Going between tempos to like help practice because I'm still a little bit weak with the chord changes. The strumming works really well, but chord changes. The song's quite fast, so a sort of adaptation or sort of task and train I'm going to try with the music and the tempo is start playing by myself and then see if I'm in the right tempo, because before, like all week, I've been trying to play with the tempo, so now I'm going to see if I've got the tempo and if if my degrees of freedom understand that it needs to keep going and that it's the right tempo.
And finally, my last video.
Week 6 of the training program. This is going to be the final video for my progressions in learning the song. This week was focused on manipulating the task constraints, pretty much focusing on environmental constraints. This is my dad and my brother's over there, and they've been singing with me all week, so I had to see if I could stay with the tempo, to see if I can work with all the distractions, and just to see if it works all well together. So this is the last video, so enjoy.
Seas would rise when I gave the world everything I see. Scrape the streets that I used to own. I have My heart feelings are so feelings the same. I'm these around so many broken devils rise. Breathe right here in my soul to see you. Missionaries in the heart. One sufferings that I can't explain. One single never on this side. But that was where I broke apart.
Yep, so that was the result. So as you can see, the training program was pretty clear, and I was able to learn playing that song over the course of the 20 hours. The three practical issues I observed throughout the program really were retention, transfer, and the technique alteration. Mainly the technique alteration, which I will mention in the limitations. There is a certain way that you're meant to put each finger in each fret, but because of my degrees of freedom worked pretty well for the first few weeks, I decided not really to change that. So with the discussion, as you can see, my intrinsic constraints were challenged at the beginning with my lack of dexterity, as I mentioned. However, once I trained more, my coordinative structures began to work together and adapt to the task demands. I was also able to develop a perceptual motor landscape by manipulating those tempos, the different keys, and with the distraction at the end, as you could see. And with the progression videos each week, it showcased I did improve by coordinating my degrees of freedom with consistent practicing, which highlighted, I believe, the success of my training program. So the strengths and limitations, I think that splitting each week up, focusing on one component, so the strumming on one week and the chords the next week, really helped with my progression of learning the skill, and manipulating those different constraints at the end of the final 2 weeks really helped me challenge myself to see that I actually did develop that skill. The limitations, as I said, so you are meant to have certain fingers on certain sort of frets and strings at a certain time. However, just because within the middle of the week, I only realized that sort of, and I decided that the way I played and the way I adapted to playing worked really well for me. And I think by the end of the video, the end of the training program, you can see that I did pick it up even with that little limitation. So even with all the few little limitations here and there, I believe that the strengths outweigh the weaknesses in this program. So in conclusion, skill acquisition has occurred as highlighted by the weekly progress videos, encompassing improvement by self-organization, as well as the ability to form coordinative structures, specifically through working those unilateral limbs that I said before, in order to achieve that goal of playing the Viva La Vida on guitar. These were my references, just a few, and the final one there is the tutorial that I used pretty much throughout the whole program, particularly in the first 3 weeks, that really helped gauge my learning at the very beginning, and really helped me along the few weeks. I'd just like to say thank you. This was a really fun assignment. I do believe that I did learn my skill really well in those 20 hours. I think with more time, I'd be able to progress even further, but I am very happy with how I went. So thank you very much, and I hope you've enjoyed a lot. Thank you.